Hey guys, this is Kenny over at learnhowtoprosper.com. And I wanted to take just a minute today and go through chapter 7. No, excuse me, chapter 8 of if you come here under Learn, it's got the career guide. And I'm just going through each of these chapters. And today I get to talk about one of my mentors and one of the people that I really have come to appreciate. And he passed very suddenly. Um, I guess it would have been, yeah, in just the beginning of 2024. It was very sudden, like within two weeks, he was gone after he found out he had this. And I think it was a sort of cancer, very aggressive. But Dan Miller, you want to see his picture? Oh, maybe that's not. It's right here. Right here. This is Dan. Really good guy. And he had this 48 Days to the Work You Love podcast. If you want to listen to any of those, I've tried to distill most of that into a much tighter set of information if you want. And you can listen to this chapter, any one of these chapters, if you want to. You can just click on here and listen to the message. But Dan Miller had this New York Times best-selling book called 48 Days to the Work You Love. And I think it is a very powerful book. I'm just going to walk through some of the key principles. His most important insight was that what he called the 85-15 rule. 85% of the process of finding the work you love comes from looking inward first. Only 15% is the application to fitting work. And so he talks through these pillars of meaningful work: skills and abilities, personality, tendencies, values, dreams, and passions. And I do think that it's good to do some analysis in each of these areas. And I do have some additional tools that I'm going to be adding to this website where you can click on the survey and it'll walk you through these. He talks about the hidden job market. And this is, I think, the really key point of all of this is that 78% of jobs are never advertised anywhere. 78%. That's the vast majority. What that means is that inside every company, there are positions that are going unfilled, and maybe they've tried to fill them. Maybe they've tried to promote from within. And I've seen this myself. I mean, even now in the work that I do, it's hard to find people that are a good fit. And that's why someone who comes with already a very good sense of their skills and abilities, what you're genuinely good at, not what you've been trained to do, but what comes naturally to you, and you have a good sense of your personality tendencies. This is really important. Are you energized by people? Are you an extrovert? Are you an introvert? Do you prefer structure or flexibility? Are you a big picture or a detailed person? All of these things matter, and you want to be able to express your abilities in the context of those things. And typically, it's very good when you're speaking to a business owner. And a lot of times, it's not a bad idea. You could reach out to anyone. You could walk into a business, say, "Look, I just want to learn more about your business. I want to understand, the types of roles that you might have here, just to understand, just to get used to having conversations." And then the final thing are these values, dreams, and passions. What did you love doing as a child before anyone told you wasn't practical? When does time fly? What problems in the world make you angry enough to want to fix them? These are not soft questions. They are the most important questions in your career. So I do think that it's good to have that good picture of these three different dimensions and pillars, have that well in mind, so that when you're reaching out to prospective employers, you understand yourself, where your true skills lie. Because a lot of times, I remember so many different weird interviews I've had where people come in and I remember one was trying to tell me that he was very good at smoozing people. He said, "Yeah, I'm a master at smoozing people." I'm like, "Well, you know, I don't want a smoozer. I want people that will tell the truth. People who would be very understand themselves." And in essence, he was going on saying that he had the ability to convey a certain image of who he was, even if that wasn't who he was. And he had a way of, in other words, of snowballing people, or schmoozing people. I'm like, no, that's not good here. That's not what we want. You want people of integrity who truly understand themselves and can understand very clearly the fit between what they have to offer and what your needs are. Now, I always found it very unusual when someone would come into my business already understanding well what we did, had a good understanding of even a preliminary idea of what some of the challenges and difficulties I might be experiencing in the business. And I loved it when someone would get asking me about, what are some of the challenges, and when it was genuine, like they weren't doing it from the standpoint of just, I almost felt like I was being interviewed as a fit for their, because they had such a good idea of what they brought to the table, and they had this sort of confidence about what they could bring to the table, that they were asking me questions about, and you could see that they genuinely are wanting to make the connection. It's like, I could offer this, I could offer this, I could see this thing, I could really help you here. And I tell you that in virtually every circumstance, if I couldn't hire them, I was beating the door down on in other divisions and other places where we could find a fit for them. So that's the hidden job market out there. Think about what that means. So 78% of jobs are never advertised. If you're only applying to posted job openings, you're competing for 22% of the available positions and competing against every other applicant who saw the same posting. The other 78% of positions are filled through personal connections, proactive outreach, and relationships built before a need ever became an official opening. That is so important, guys. And so yes, it's networking, but also you want to have a very good grounded understanding of what you bring to the table. And a lot of times, and I'll just say this, and I've said this before, you want someone who's a good fit for your organization. So if someone comes in and they can express themselves in a way and interact with the team in a way that people are like, I could see myself working with this person. I love this person. This is someone I want to be with. This is someone that I wouldn't mind hanging out with. That's going to put you a long way down the path. I call it likability, but it's much deeper than that. And then let's talk now about this proactive outreach process, because today it's very possible through LinkedIn and other ways. But honestly, if you're doing it the way everyone else is doing it, it's that low barrier of entry. Everyone's sending a quick note, that kind of thing. If you were to send an actual handwritten letter or other ways of reaching out, engaging, maybe offering services for free, or actually seeing a problem and providing a solution in some way. But let's see what Dan had to say. First, identify 30 to 40 companies where you would genuinely love to work. Not companies that happen to have openings, companies whose mission, culture, and work align with who you are. And here, where I live, that's places like Adobe, Qualtrics, Bamboo HR. These are all areas, and in your local area. And by the way, I have a tool on the site that you can go there and look at, and I'll take a look at that here at the end to help you see what these possible companies are. But these days, you can work remote, so they don't have to be local. They could be remote. So let me just go through. Second, send each company a personalized introduction letter and your resume, not a generic cover letter. A letter that demonstrates you understand what the company does, why you admire it, and specifically what value you could bring to their team. And you think, oh, that seems like so much work. Well, yes. If you want to find good, solid work where you're a good fit, then you should plan on it being a full-time job for you for some period of time to get a job. That you just need to be prepared for that. Third, follow up aggressively. Call, walk in the front door, ask to speak with the hiring manager or the IT director. And Dan was always direct about this. You cannot sit at home and wait for a job offer to come in. The people who get hired are the people who show up. It's so true. And then keep going. First offer may not be exactly what you want. By the fourth or fifth, you will have your confidence back and be in a position to negotiate what you actually want. And that's what you want. You want to get into a situation where you have lots of conversations, lots of interactions with people. Here are the three kind of distinctions he makes. There's a vocation, a career, and a job. And your vocation is your calling. Now, if you want to learn more about that, you can go over to purpose.learnhowtoprosper.com. Because I talk about this, your individual mission. What do you bring to this world that is uniquely you? And learning to evaluate that and think through that is really going to put you in a powerful spot. Because think of it this way. What if you could have a very clear idea of who you are, your gifts, what you bring to the table, and how you can bring value, and you can walk into a place and you know what that fit is, and you can talk to that with passion and with energy and with confidence. And I think the final thing I would say is an owner mindset. Like you're going in there to not just get a job, but it's a calling. It's like, I'm going to make this place better. I'm going to make your mission my mission. I'm going to go and help us grow and achieve amazing things. And I think even if you, um, even if you know that that's not your end all be all job, you should always treat every opportunity that way. Put your all into it. I mean that. Give it your best, and people will. First of all, that's such a rarity that you're going to stand out automatically, and that's a good thing. The overarching mission that gives your work meaning, it stays fairly constant throughout your life. For a technology professional, might be helping organizations use technology to serve people better. You know, my secret sauce has always been the ability to translate um, between different groups. So the business group has certain requirements and things they're trying to accomplish, but processes they're trying to optimize, work they're trying to get done. And then you've got the IT group who has technology that could address that. But sometimes these two groups don't do a great job speaking together, and have become an expert at making that transition and that translation, I should say, and being able to really help the business articulate what they need in terms that the technical people can roll it out. Now, I got so good that I could actually build my own technical tools. And a lot of times these days, that's very doable with AI or they have a business configuration layer, and you can go and become certified. Like I remember one of the people that was on my team, I sent him to become a Salesforce expert, and he took all the classes. He became very well attuned to being able to configure Salesforce to meet very specific business needs. And he was highly sought after, I will say that. And there's a lot of different type of tool sets like that where you can learn a tool, become an expert, even create a course on how to use that tool just for your own benefit. And then, you know, there are so many tools like that out there now. So my wife and I own a short-term rental in Park City, and I'm sure I'll be talking more about it in time because we're just going through the process right now. But I spoke to two people from HostAway, which is a tool that you use to manage all your bookings and all your various channels and things like that. And it goes deep. It has all these integrations with like your locks, you know. So for example, every time someone books your rental, short-term rental, they have the ability to set a new code automatically. So when new ones come, new code, the old code is deprecated, then the new code is applied to the next person. And you know, just even the ability to integrate and pull all the booking information from the listing and put it on the TV so that when they walk in, it says, "Welcome, you know, Bill and Jen. We're so grateful you're here." And here's you know, and then a QR code, and here's all the kind of the house elements and rules and information. Because we have 2 saunas, a cold plunge, I should say 2 jacuzzis, and a sauna and a cold plunge. And you know, it's a lot of remotes and moving pieces and parts, and so we got to make it very clear how people do it. But it just occurred to me that that tool is so difficult. I'm going to create a training just so that new people who are coming on board, that they can see it and use it from my point of view. Because even what's very, very interesting is even their training that I went through, it's very kind of from the standpoint of someone inside HostAway and not so well suited for a customer. So think about opportunities to do that. And a lot of times people do that. They have teams internally building content for someone externally, and they're not really even thinking about how the external person thinks. So that's something that you can do. So vocation, that's your calling. Your career is the general field or discipline you work in. You may have several careers with one vocation. It's true. I mean, I worked in mental health counseling. I did marriage counseling. I did group therapy. Then I did career advising. And then I did just course and career and advising as well. And then I moved into high tech, and I've really been able to leverage a lot of my people and interaction skills, my communication skills, to really help groups work together, help get work done. Then over time, I've been comfortable managing teams and large teams and making sure they get things done. And I know how to manage up and make sure that my manager is successful in their role. You should always be doing that. And be comfortable with the fact that as someone moves up the chain, they become disconnected from the day-to-day details, and you need to honor that and embrace that, and not say, well, I know more than my manager will ever know. But what you don't realize is that they're operating at this other layer, and they have to manage up, and they're working with this executive layer. And the executive layer, they speak a different language. They're operating a different level, and you need to always be thinking about ways to enable them to be immensely successful. Because if you make them successful, they want to make you successful, and they're going to look for ways for you to grow. And and not only that, they don't even want to let you go. And it's such a great place to be. The person that I've worked with for years, we have a great relationship, and honestly, I enjoy it immensely. I feel like I've created to some degree, I've kind of created this niche. I've created this role for myself, and I've done that at 2 or 3 companies now. And in the end of the day, it always kind of lands in the same place. I'm managing these groups and teams that have disparate kind of technologies, and pulling those together, streamlining them, and allowing the executive team to realize their greatest needs and their greatest desires and ambitions within the company. And that means sometimes rolling out large, complex systems, CRM systems. And the other area that I think that I've really been able to do well at is to really be able to identify what data is most valuable to help someone quickly identify the actionable work that needs to be done. And then delivering that, and then monitoring that and driving the proper behavior after that. Because a good data drives behavior, and that's the way you need to think about it. And people think they need 500 metrics. You probably only need like 2 or 3 to manage a business well. In fact, if you're looking at more than 2 or 3, then you're probably distracting yourself. So your job is a specific role you hold at a specific company. The average job lasts about 2.3 years. That's been true in my life. I mean, I've been within a company and taken many roles within the company. And I would say that if you've been in your role for more than like 3.5, 5 years, and there hasn't been some kind of transformational change to what you're doing, you should look for new opportunities. You should be building your skill set and moving to that next role. Well, with that, you can see there's a bunch of resources and next steps. I'm going to point you to those that you can go through. And also, I am building out this entrepreneur playbook, which I think is going to be immensely valuable. And you can see that. It's going to be a training that I provide along with several tools to help you accomplish this very thing. But mostly, what I want to do in this is just help you very quickly transition to indispensable part of your team, or finding yourself in a team and making yourself indispensable, or finding the right fit. And then the types of tools that you can use to really supercharge the value that you bring to any company. Like there's one section in there where literally within an hour, I'm going to show you how to rock your boss's world in ways that you could have never imagined, and ways that they wouldn't even imagine. And so look for that. You'll be seeing more about it here in coming days and weeks. And with that, I'm going to sign off. I hope you have a fantastic day. Look for a new chapter tomorrow, where I'll be talking about let me go. It's going to be the next chapter 8. Yeah. AI is your competitive advantage. Oh my goodness, guys. I'm looking forward to this one. You should too. And I'll be talking more about it tomorrow. And with that, I'll sign off. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.